The gangster genre was a film genre exploring the societal corruption. The genre was reinvented in 1972 when Mario Puzo adapted his novel The Godfather, along with accomplished film director Francis Ford Coppola. Coppola's film differed as it was told from the gangster's perspective, and sympathetic without glorifying their actions. The genre further developed with 1982's Scarface, directed by Brian De Palma, a remake of the Prohibition-era film. This presentation will explore the gangster genre, specifically using 1983's Scarface as an example. The gangsters often, though not exclusively, dress in fancy black and white business suits as they act as businessmen, supported by them carrying briefcases and their lavish houses with their fancy cars. They use guns and other weapons to kill people who stand in their way, whether it be rivals, traders, or crooked cops. The business suits demonstrate their formality, as despite their violent, even somewhat outdated attitudes, that the criminals have rules. For instance, in Scarface, Tony refuses to kill the wife and child of a trader who would be caught in the crossfire of a potential hit, even going as far as to execute a criminal who is willing to do so. Gangster films use a combination of a soundtrack with a score that builds tension, as well as popular or new songs, to promote both the song and the film. Scarface uses the songs to generate atmosphere, with its scenes set in clubs, as well as Paul Engelman's Push It to the Limit being used to an apt description of Montana building his operation. It's also used to create a montage to show the success of Tony Montana's operation. The films focus on organized gangsters being introduced through an established, successful mob boss. The mob boss usually orders several hits on others or executes several people himself, usually getting their backstory delivered through exposition. The mob boss became a criminal out of desperation. The man becomes a criminal due to poverty and wanting to defend himself, as can be seen with Tony Montana in Scarface, where he chooses to become a criminal due to his lack of opportunity. Due to their subversive nature, gangster films focus on the corruption inherent in society. Scarface even features Berenstein, a corrupt police officer working for the gang, and he offers Tony Montana protection by extorting him. Gangster films highlight that the corruption creates desperation in people and can drive them to dark places. Gangster films also explore themes such as family drama and corruption. They also focus on issues such as discrimination, including race and sex, which Scarface demonstrates as Tony is referred to with several slurs, like other characters, and in the beginning, he's asked if he's a homosexual in a derogatory manner. Gangster films also focus on the decay of society, how being wealthy and successful doesn't lead to a good life, a theme that will be touched more upon in the marketing section. The scenery in gangster films serves two purposes. Primarily to show the different worlds with the everyday and mundane, as opposed to the wealth that the criminals gain. Scarface signifies this with transitions from Montana as a dishwasher at a food truck to visiting the mansions of several crime lords for the first time, and heading to a fancy nightclub, and finally to constructing and spending most of his days in his own gold, black, and red mansion. The films are aimed at adult audiences due to their graphic violence, profanity, and adult themes. So the films have very little marketing, usually limited to the trailers. The biggest criticism of these films is that many often worry that the film will glorify the gangster lifestyle. Many are worried that filmmakers let the criminal lifestyle appear as an ambition, off a goal to achieve, to aspire to. As a result, the filmmakers often highlight the negative aspects of the gangster film, the brutality, the threat level of death, and personal corruption of the gangster themselves. Scarface demonstrates that clearly, as though it shows the gangsters as wealthy, the gangsters are not glorified. They are abusive to women, in particular their own family, and Tony becomes paranoid, afraid of losing everyone who matters to him, he ultimately winds up fulfilling his own fears and goes down a dark, miserable, isolated, and self-destructive path. Scarface uses color in several forms. Tony Montana himself wears a red Hawaiian shirt in the first act. Red as a color features several meanings, including passion, lust, desire, and rage. All of these are perfect words to describe Tony Montana. Tony desires Elvira. He flirts with her and kisses her. Tony has a passion to rise above poverty, become wealthy, start a business, and start a family. And he is angry throughout the film, especially when he feels that others don't respect or understand him. The red is also referring to the blood of other people and the violence that Tony commits. The red carpets, drapes, floor, wall, and staircase of the mansion he gains being symbolic of how he's built his world around bloodshed. Even more appropriately, Tony's red Hawaiian shirt is worn when he kills someone face to face for the first time. Whilst violet and purple are colors representing power, wealth, calming, and compassion. Tony's best friend and his sister both frequently, albeit not exclusively, wear violet and purple clothing, as they are the only people Tony feels comfortable around before he goes down the path of self-destruction. Lighting is an important aspect of any film. Scarface uses three-point lighting, lighting. It projects two forms of lighting onto the character whilst being on opposite sides at a 45-degree angle, as can be seen with the first picture. Scarface also uses rim lighting. Rim lighting uses a black light positioned above the actor from behind his or her head. The flat lighting, as can be seen with the third image, features very little lighting and allows the audience to feel as though they are in the scene themselves, and emphasizes Tony's low point as he sinks into the chair.